everyone. The roll call, please. Ms. Gillis.
Jackson?
Here.
Buckley?
Here.
Messer?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Here.
Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The agenda is before us. Any additions or corrections, Mark?
No, Mayor.
Okay, we'll proceed then. The minutes from the October 2nd meeting were distributed. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Are there questions, additions, comments on the minutes from October 2nd? Anyone? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carries. There are no special orders today. The study session today is twofold. The first is a body camera presentation. And Chief, are you doing it or who's doing it?
Got a team with me.
Okay,
Detective Sergeant Flory, April Decatur, and Kenny Thomas from
right.
Axon.
So fire away as you wish.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm gonna take over. I'm doing off this computer here. So in 2018, we had completed a CIP to go ahead and get new in-car cameras. At that time, we did a full demo day with a bunch of different vendors. Saw a bunch. One of those was a local Michigan Byron Center company. So there were things that we liked about it. Being that they were close, we thought the customer service was going to be top notch and that we would be able to work through any issues that came up. We weren't ready for the whole body cam process at that point, but we went ahead and proceeded with in-cars. Something that was interesting about these in-cars is that they actually had 4 cameras available. So you would have your front dash cam, the back seat camera, and then 2 side cameras, which seemed amazing for getting that full view for an officer on a traffic stop or if something else happened that we needed an eye on. Well, that proved not to be so great because as you outfit 6 cars, you have different trigger points set up within the car that activate what cameras. Excuse me. As firmware updates and things would come through, we would have these issues, and then what should be triggering all 4 cameras wasn't, what should be triggering just the front and back seat wasn't. Then you have all these cameras come in and our videos come in and we have to take them all separately as 4. Oh, wait.
We got water for you if you want water.
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, you want some water.
I was very sick yesterday, so I'm sorry.
Sorry, I thought you were.
Mark, you can use this stuff. I didn't use it.
So-
I haven't used mine either.
Thank you. So there were things that were good about it, there were things that were bad about it, and then summer of 2020, I had finally been able to move forward with body cams. It was very important during that time that we have that transparency, what our officers are doing when they're out with the public. So we proceeded with that same company, which in the very beginning seemed like it was going to work very well. It was something which we were required by IT to have our own server to host our data on. Later on, we find that wasn't the best because as the updates and everything came through from their program, we weren't getting them to our server and just made a couple things more complicated as we did that. We were about 3 months in with our body cams when we had to send our first one back to be fixed under warranty. It came back and it was the new body cam. We had some extra because of whether it was injury or deployment at the time, I don't remember, but we had an extra, so we swapped that one in instead of switching to the new, I think it was the 4, Dave, the 4? So we didn't realize all the differences that this 4 had from what we had just purchased 3 months prior. We were able to work with the city grant coordinator to obtain a grant and purchase more body cams, which at the time we thought, okay, this is going to be great. If we had to send one in for repair at the 3-month mark already, we're gonna need some help in doing this moving down the road. We got the whole new body cam 4 system in, and we had volume issues. We have vision issues. The first one had some night vision capability to them, so they were fantastic. The audio was perfect. We were really happy with the first version. The second version was worthless. Round and round and round between myself, IT, and the company, and their customer service was unable to do anything for us. And we have been struggling with these cameras since. Just last week, we had one camera go down that we had to send back in for repairs. And just as we had received the RMA to ship that out, another one went down. And I happened to be in a little chat with the company, and I said, hey, we have a second one we'd like to throw in the box. They're like, okay. The next day, we got word that they could fix one under warranty, but the other one was now out of warranty. What are we gonna do? So, if, like, I will be honest, 20% of my time since we've been with this, I spend working on this program. Whether it is working with IT and finding out what triggers are working in the cars for what 4 cameras, whether it is like resetting up a body cam, finding whose video is where. It has been a complete nightmare. The retention schedule was locked, which means we have all these videos that we shouldn't be retaining anymore per our policy that are still there. So it's taking up server space. Just seems to be one thing after another after another. I don't want to drag it on too much. I'll let Dave tell you about how we utilize the body cam specifically, and maybe some of the triggers for the car. And April tell you the process for redacting, because we have several FOIAs that we get, and that requires sometimes a video blur, and also sound needs to be bleeped out. So those are some of the things that we just want to make you aware of, and then I'll let Kenny tell you about what Axon has and how it's kind of all just in one spot. And already we're much happier with the customer service. So, you want to go ahead and talk
Sure.
about how we?
I could probably talk all night about body cams. This is our old one I can pass around. This is you to me, just so you can kind of see what we're talking about. Prior to returning back to Big Rapids from a special assignment with the state police, I kind of came into the body cams, the body cam 3. It was great. The IR, which is infrared, allowed you to see at night. Great audio, easy user function, and a very easy user dashboard. When the body cam started going down, I was only a patrolman at the time. I was recently being promoted to patrol sergeant, so you start to have a lot more interaction with reviewing video, reviewing use of force. That's kind of when we had the transition from the body cam 3 to the body cam 4, which is what you're holding there. Poor audio, the aperture for the camera wouldn't open very well at night, so it's just pretty much dark, and I don't know if we have the comparison videos that we're gonna be able to play tonight. So that sparked honestly a discussion about 10 months ago through Officer Casey Metcalf, now employed by Kent County Sheriff's Office. They were very difficult. It wasn't weekly that we had a complaint from a patrol officer to where the body cams weren't turning on. Even as simple as placing them into the dock that's provided by ProVision to upload the data from the body cam onto our servers, you have to find a specific slot. These are brand new docks. So you're moving the camera all the way around, and then there was still no resolution as to why certain body cameras wouldn't upload into certain docking stations. And as a supervisor of special assignments, being the school resource officer who has his on daily from parent interactions to student interactions, he was one of them that ended up having to have his RMA last week, so he probably uses his some of the most, for how much contact that he has with the public. And honestly, it's nonstop issues. Part of our policy and procedure is once a report is submitted as a supervisor has to go into the program and make sure that the body cam video is tagged in correlation to the complaint number or the case number. With the current system that we have, depending on whether it is a in-car video or the body cam, imagine you watch a 2-hour-long movie, and imagine that that's the officer's body cam. It splits it up into 4 segments of 30 minutes each, so the officer has to find each 30-minute file, and then he has to tag it by the complaint number, retention period, and any other note. So that's 4 times that he has to go and find each separate file. Through Axon, it's a continuous recording, doesn't chop it up. You sit there and you tag it one time. The user interface through their cloud system, which isn't server-based on our end, seamless. When I started working with Mr. Thomas through Axon and their IT, when I set up our 3 demo cameras, I had absolutely no complaints. The only complaint that we received from Patrol was actually a security one that's set up by Axon. So for every 20 minutes, it times out and it just requires you to get a new security code to log back in to their cloud-based server. That was the only negative feedback that we got from the 3 separate, highly self-initiated field activity officers that we purposely assigned them to. So, does the commission have any questions? That's kind of wrapped up. I could honestly talk all night about what was good and what's bad. So,
Thank you.
any questions?
While I play the video, I'm gonna have April talk about what she has to do. You can see one at the top, this yellow triangle, that's Axon, that's what we just demoed, and then that's what the other one that we have. I muted it. And they should be pretty close in time. You'll just get a good idea of what you can see at night and what you can't on the other. I mean, on the right, you can see it's obvious that there's people out back to the garage. On the left, you can't see that there's anybody out there. So if we're reviewing something, some type of a complaint against an officer, and this is what I have to review, it's not very helpful. You can go ahead.
So Danny, wouldn't you have a continuous service contract with these companies? I mean, with our expensive stuff in medicine, we have it ongoing forever. I mean, they never come off service. You don't have such a thing.
No, not with them.
Thank you.
So my major role in the body cam and car cams is to download the video to be able to redact it. We have lots of FOIA requests from the public wanting to see, the other version of the story. We all have a bad day sometimes and can't recollect things, but mostly for our city attorney, defense attorneys, we had the highest volume of requests. So I have to currently go into our SecureMax, which is the application in Provision, and download each video like Dave was talking about. On average, for a drunk driver, it's probably 10 to 15 videos that I have to download, and they come in 30-minute increments. So if all 4 car cameras are working, and say it takes an hour and a half for a drunk driving offense, and this is the field sobriety test, and say that they do not cooperate with a breathalyzer, so now you're taking them to the hospital for a blood draw, and then you're taking them to jail. So that could be an hour and a half complaint. Every 30 minutes for every camera, it makes another file. So I have 4 cameras in the car. If they're all working and on correctly, then I have 4 times how many ever 30-minute increments to each video. And then I have 30-minute increments to the body cam. So I have AVI files and MP4 files that have to be downloaded. Once they're downloaded on my computer at work, then I have to move them to a share folder to be able to upload them into our redaction computer. From there, I have to then load them into the redaction computer, which takes several minutes. Sometimes it takes hours depending on how long the videos are, what's on the videos. Then I have to go into that redaction software and I have to blur things or bleep things. So any of our lean information, which is our law enforcement information network, is not available to the public. So any warrant information, Secretary of State information, none of that is public information. We protect everybody's identity, has to be bleeped out.
This is probably a good place to.
So if, say an officer is on an active complaint and dispatch is running files or giving information to something else that's going on the radio in the background and we're hearing that, that has to be removed from the video. If an officer goes into somebody's house and the public is asking for a FOIA, the entire house has to be blurred out and only the people can be seen because it's a violation of privacy. So like I wouldn't be able to see the inside of your house if I was your next door neighbor because I wanted to know what was going on. So this takes a long time. Once then the redactions are done, then it has to be uploaded again, and then I have to either download it to a DVD CD, like the old school DVDs, or put it on a flash drive depending on how long the videos are. So if I have a 3-hour OWI or an in progress call, those do not fit on a DVD, or get burned on a DVD. I have to put those on a flash drive, which then becomes very pricey. Any questions?
So this seems all very like down, but the good news is that there's an option where everything is in one place. I forgot to mention that one thing we used to have was a transcriptionist, and she retired just about a little more than a year ago.
2 years ago.
Oh, don't say that. So the officers would dictate their reports. We had to pay for a program to use that, and then she would transcribe the reports. So that was an additional cost of somebody that we were paying, and then the software fee to have that we did. So what Axon has is something that really does all of this for us in one place. And I will let Renee kind of go over a little bit more of all the bells and whistles.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I've got a myriad of things here, so bear with me real quick. I'll start with this little show and tell. So, Axon Body 3 camera is what I have here in hand. What we're looking to get out for the police department is actually the Axon Body 4 camera, which was just released, started shipping in September. So it's on right now. You can pass that around. It's not recording, but it is on. One of the things you should see, here we go, now it's recording. I actually activated that body camera from over here to start recording by turning on my Taser 7, which is what the police department has right now. So, one of the advantages to pairing up Taser with body camera, also with in-car camera, is automatic activation. So, I just wanted to demo that real quick. But a little bit of just who I am real quick. I could be anybody, so I'll introduce myself a little bit more. I've been with Axon for a little bit, 2.5 years now. Before that, I worked for Livonia Police on the east side of the state for almost 7 years. And we actually got to use Axon as well. So, speaking to you, yes, like, I am a salesman, I am a sales rep, I am your account executive and your partner here, but I'm a user of this stuff as well, so I know how beneficial it can be. Working with Danielle, April, and Dave so far has been great, and we're trying to highlight a lot of the things to where it's taking up a lot of their time and where we can be better. One of the things, like I said, automatic activations. Those are great. Taser 7, we can do that. The in-car camera functions, with ours, we're going to have dash camera and cage camera. Cage camera comes with infrared and microphone built right into it. Dash camera can see out the front face, obviously. You're going to have a 3x zoom and a 12x zoom option. We're also looking at integrating some LPR software as well, some license plate reading technology. So that's going to get you automatic hits for a lot of your major crimes, your Amber Alerts, your homicides that may be attached to a plate. The department can also integrate any of their own lists as well for any license plates that they may have to get automatic activations. It's all built right into the in-car camera system. The body camera itself comes right out of the box, 13 plus hours with runtime. I don't know how you guys are doing on battery life and longevity right now. But we're gonna be 13 hours out of the box, so definitely carry you through a shift. I think one of the things that, Chief highlighted on was the support, customer service, the warranty, how does that look with us? So one of the things that we do is called a TAP, or a Technology Assurance Plan. So what we're doing in a regular 5-year, 60-month contract is we're refreshing our hardware every 30 months. So as we get close to the midway marker of your contract, we're gonna call Chief, hey Chief, are you ready for your new round of body cameras? Yep, great. Any other changes we need to make to that contract? Nope, send those cameras over, perfect. New cameras, brand new, are sent right out to the department. The old ones are put in a box, sent back to us. Then, to your point, this is where you talk about at the end, like, what do we do? What does a new contract look like? How are we continuing service? That's where that second round of refresh of hardware comes in. So, what we're doing right at the end is saying, hey, you're due for a renewal, Chief, in probably about 6 months to a year. How do we want to move forward? Well, one, you're already getting a renewal of hardware that's baked into this contract now. So, you're getting a discounted cost for hardware that you're going to be having in 2029. So really what the future looks like would just be renewals, those TAP programs to continue, and then software and licenses. So the warranties cover you for all 5 years. Even if we don't make it to one of those refreshes yet in month 30 and the camera goes down, we'll still process it and replace it if needed and fix it however we need to as well. That's totally covered there. So, one other point I wanted to touch on was server space and how we're a little bit different. We are a cloud-based system. Cloud's the way of the future, super secure. We partner with Microsoft Azure, one of the most secure platforms you're going to find anywhere in the world. It's housed in 3 different locations throughout the United States that have super max security. Everything is housed there, and we're doing unlimited storage for the department. So they're not going to have to worry about, am I at my retention standards? How much video have we put into here? Am I gonna have to delete things? What does that look like? But that's all covered with unlimited storage in the cloud. For things like redaction, transcription, dictation, which are all things that help April a bunch, all baked into our online cloud-based system called evidence.com. So it's a one-stop shop, everything's right there, they'll be able to access it, we're not gonna have to go to another computer, go to another storage, or call another third-party company to do a redaction or anything. We're gonna be able to access everything right from the PD. I can bring up and show you a few things first, I'd love to take some questions, and again, I could sit here for probably hours and tell you more about this stuff, but I'd love to hear what you guys have. Is this there? This bottle up there?
How long have you been doing the cloud-based?
We started, let's see here. I have it right in front of me. We started evidence.com in 2009. So right about that time is when we started really getting in the cloud and I guess storage generally and evidence.com.
So why would anybody want to have a server in their place to have IT doing that when the cloud's available? What would be their reasoning?
I think at the time there wasn't the whole understanding of the CJIS compliance that was available on the cloud that was being offered to us with the other one.
But it is completely secure.
100%, yeah. We are CJIS compliant, was a criminal justice information system, so as long as everybody has their own license, which we do that, you're totally compliant with all of those rules, laws, and regulations.
Is there conflict between the local IT department and the new system because they're not part of the deal? Are they glad to be rid of it?
I don't think there will be conflict. I think it'd be fantastic for them to not have to have another help desk to answer regarding what we're currently using.
Oh,
That is-
they're active a lot with it now, Chief? Where you're talking to our local,
So I asked them, since we started the help desk, to give me a breakdown of how many in-car, body cam related help desk tickets we had submitted. And I think they came back with 37, but that's not very good because we text and we email and we call with the problems too. And if we see Tim, Craig, Eric, we're like, hey, this is the problem we're having. So there's not a ticket for that at that time. But I would say between Eric and Anthony, they spend a lot of time trying to help us out.
Other questions, public too?
Question real quick.
Yes, please.
The automatic activation, so what's the difference between how these were activated and you showed us the taser activates that one, how else can that be activated? Is it like when they, like unholster a firearm when they get out of the car? Just so, I mean, I've seen in some police reports that sometimes the body cameras didn't always get activated. So I just wondered what the difference is with these as opposed to these.
Yeah. Are yours activated other than the in-car?
Sure.
We'll talk about how those are activated.
Yeah,
Pain
well,
point.
yeah, painfully so. Like I said, for the current life of what we have now with the ProVision Body Cam 4, I don't wanna say it's hit or miss for everybody. Axon does have sensors that you can install in holsters to where if you do unholster your firearm, and that's in the pre-record mode, which I'll talk about that in just a moment, that it will activate the body cam. What we have now is we have a 30-second pre-recorded video. So if I turn this on, it will go back 30 seconds pre-recorded. 30 seconds pre-recorded from the point of activation. So if I activate it, it'll actually show the video 30 seconds before that user activated it. Axon does do the same thing as well. One thing that Axon does do that is a step above what we currently have is it will also do a 30-second pre-recorded audio. So if somebody says something to the officer, it's gonna catch that as soon as the officer activates the camera. If it's a manual activation, which is just a double tap of that front button. With what we have now with Body Cam 4, all the patrol vehicles now, they weren't, but all the patrol vehicles now, if you were to activate the overhead lights and your body cam is in the pre-record mode, which is just on standby, kind of like a cell phone before you answer the call, it's just sitting there waiting, it would activate the body cam. Body Cam 4 also does proximity on. So if Sergeant Tanner were to turn his body cam on right now, and then this was also on in standby mode, it would also activate this one too, which is almost about a 2-block radius, which can be temperamental at times because our officers check on officers all the time, even if they just drive by a traffic stop. So now that creates an additional issue for April, because if that officer is just driving by another officer's drunk driving, stop, or arrest, now she has an additional video to redact because the body cam is more than likely, as you saw earlier, gonna catch that mobile data terminal screen that's probably gonna have some type of lien information on it, so now she has to redact that as well. Axon doesn't quite have that distance of proximity on. So, when we did do the trial by the 3 cameras that were lent to us by Axon, I didn't sync up the taser. I knew it worked. And obviously, as you guys have seen here tonight, it works. That would probably be something that would be up to the chief for policy procedure on whether we had that integrated or if we didn't take opportunity of that feature. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of features in the Axon that we don't have the body cam for that we can make it as user-friendly as possible or as detailed as possible.
So it'd be double tap the front to activate, or if the car camera is activated, or if you use your taser. Those are the
Yep.
3 kind
Yep.
of ways you'd activate the camera.
Yep, and then for the officers, if Axon is something that would replace what we currently have now, it is the same activation feature as what the officers have now, so there's no learning curve, there's no mental memory that they're gonna have to retrain themselves. It's the same initiation between the ProVision Body Cam 4 and then the Axon. It's the same double tap on a button on the front.
How do they get deactivated, or is it, again, manual?
It's just a long press hold.
Yeah.
Yep.
Long press similar with this. Axon Body 4 is gonna be same.
I'm assuming you have clients all over the state, country, there's,
World,
world?
yeah,
Okay.
we're in Italy, Brazil,
Just petite.
Vietnam, India, London, I mean, we're all over the place, so, yeah.
Go ahead.
So it can be tied to the taser. Can it be tied to the sidearm?
Yes,
holster?
so we do have, it's called Signal Sidearm. It's a small mount that goes on the outside of the holster. That could be something that
It would be an
Choose to explore
add-on.
that, yep. So it's just a hardware add-on, but it recognizes that when the holster breaks free, or when a firearm breaks free, the holster sends it, all it is a Bluetooth signal. Is what
Yep.
we're doing here. So, and to go a little bit more in depth, like anything, the signal from the taser, the signal from the sidearm, or the signal from the in-car triggers, we're gonna do a 30-foot radius, uninterrupted, we'll pick up any Axon camera. And the reason why I say any Axon camera would be if you have a neighboring jurisdiction, let's say if you guys do a mutual aid, they draw their taser, or one of these guys or gals activate their taser, and they have an Axon camera, it's gonna activate that. So, again, a lot of transparency here, a lot of fail safes integrated, a lot of things to where when the, you know, the dust settles, if you will, there's no like, did we do this, did we do this, did we do this? We're trying to streamline the processes here for you guys, because it's a lot, so.
Questions? More? Danny, how many departments in the state have you called about Axon that he didn't give you the names of the departments? Did you make some, I mean, it just seems strange that the other one was so failed.
Oh,
You know?
well, I called about that one, let me tell you. I went to Chiefs Conference and talked about that one, and everybody was in the same boat. I didn't, aside from DeWitt, I didn't talk to anybody else about
Axon.
Axon. We did try other cameras. We had a demo for Motorola and Digital Ally. Two things again where customer service was totally lacking.
So I suspect that you're going to be coming to us in the near future with a request for a contract of some sort.
Yeah.
My question, what was the name of the other company?
Provision.
Provision. Is there anything salvageable from what we invested with them?
The servers.
But we don't
But
want
you don't
them,
need
right?
them.
Well, we'll have the servers, so, anything that's currently on there, we'll have to, is encrypted, so we have to download it and take it before we get rid of that license. And we'll be able to save it on there, and it could be a way for us moving forward on those really important cases that we know we're gonna keep forever, that we just automatically do that, download it and save it on the server, so it's there.
And one of the things that we did too, I don't know if we're bringing it up or not, but we've opened up room in here as well to bring over some of that Provision data as well. So they can go through, because again, servers do have a lifespan, right? It's a piece of hardware. That's what's great about the cloud, is it's in the cloud, and there's no degradation to that. So as they view pieces of evidence that, hey, we're gonna need this 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, bring that over to e.com, mark it, tag it as previous case from, 2020 when we had Provision. It's gonna be here and live there.
Can you use other cameras with your system? Because you've got a platform, right? There's the part of this that's the platform, which is probably the most important user-friendly part that you guys are gonna see. Then there's the hardware. So are we able to use other hardware or only the Axon cameras and hardware? I think where I'm coming from is, are any of those cameras, would they work with Axon?
Right. I think can you bring over that data? Yes, but you're not gonna be able to automatically offload it like you're gonna be with the Axon cameras.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the data, I'm talking about the hardware, the cameras themselves.
I have a counterfeit case right now, and hopefully this will help answer one of your questions, is through Walgreens. It's a multi-state, Walgreens, dollar stores, a individual probably has 200,000 or more in counterfeit bills passed over the last 6 months, and I'm working with other agencies, state and federal. Walgreens.com uses evidence.com. So when I'm talking to security and asset management for Walgreens in Indiana, he's trying to send me information to where they're using evidence.com through evidence sharing, which is probably something that Kenny can talk about, and I can't receive it. So it's not necessarily just law enforcement that's switching over to Axon, but now you're having these private third-party companies that work with law enforcement and asset protection. I won't speak for Walmart or Meijer, but for Walgreens, they're trying to send me their surveillance video and obviously, we're not quite on that platform yet. But I can't, that's my own personal experience and what I'm going through right now. I thought that was
Okay. I'm gonna wrap it up. We need another presentation when the money part comes, cause I know it's different completely than the last thing, right? The way you pay for the thing. So you'll have to bring us all that info too.
Pay for it over the course of 5 years.
Questions further?
I have one more question.
Oh, Brad.
Since I deal with these a lot.
It's his job.
When April, how will this change, or will it change when April sends a video to my office to review? Since it's cloud-based, will it be a link then that I'll just click on the link to view the video, or will it still have to be downloaded and sent?
Yeah, really easy. I'll, again, brief demo here to show you. These could be any pieces of evidence here. For me, again, I'll get the Oz here. Should be a picture of my dogs. It is. Not as many Oz as I was hoping for. It's okay. Okay. So it'd just be a simple, if this was a piece of video, anything, mouse click, share, enter in the name. It's one of my colleagues here. And then we're gonna give you the option, like, for you, you can download it and you can add notes. Great. Add. Then we can add any number if there's more people in your office that need to access this and hit done. We'll automatically send you an email saying, hey, April's sharing a piece of evidence with you related to case number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're gonna open it. Now, she gave you indefinite access to it or 90 days. You're gonna have a link to be able to jump in there and view that piece of evidence.
But
We-
and you watch it right from the
He would
web.
have a sign in on evidence.com, correct? Like we would give him permissions.
We can, yeah, that's what I was getting at next, is like, we actually do offer free licenses to prosecutors and stuff as well, so, where you could have your own access.
Okay, great. I like it.
Was there another question?
No.
Okay,
Thank you, thank you.
thank you, appreciate it.
Dave, can you turn the lights up, if you don't mind? Thank you.
on,
Oh, yeah. They're dim. There you got it.
and that close to the.
Next on the agenda is another study session presented by Tamara Gillis, our city clerk, on the nine-day voting, early voting system. She's very excited about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the 9-day early voting, which is a really hot topic right now in the election world. The proposal back in November 22, when we went and voted, the voters voted for this, and one of the things is the 9-day early voting, which is you will start on a Saturday and ends on a Sunday. Vote for 9 straight days, 2 Saturdays, 2 Sundays. And there needs to be early voting sites. So, the proposal requires municipalities to have at least one early voting site. We would only have one for all our voters. So, the state gave the options, 3 options. We can go with the county and have just one voting site. Or we can go, a couple townships or a city, or a couple cities can go in together, as long as they're in the same county, or you can do it yourself, a single municipality. The election commission met on September 5th, we discussed all the pros and cons, and we've decided to go with a single municipality. The city of Big Rapids will be conducting their own 9-day early voting. Some of the pros, might want to tell you, there's a lot of questions that I have, and there's not any answers. There's a lot of rules that haven't even been written for this yet. So given that in mind was one of the reasons we went with the full control. Some of the pros are having control of the city's ballots. If there's an audit, how do we get our documents back? If there's a discrepancy, it can be found easier and earlier. The city has control of the election results tapes at the end of the election night, which you would not have any of that if you went with someone else. The cons are all the ballots and the documents are all into one tabulator with the rest of the townships that are going with you. Some of the questions, how does the city get their ballots and documents back, and do we get them back? We don't know. Who's responsible for securing that tabulator at the end of the night for 9 days? who's gonna be, responsible for taking those ballots out, and locking them up, where are they gonna be locked up? What happens if the state picks a city as an audit? Are they gonna audit the 9-day voting? How do we get any of that documents back? You cannot have the results until the very end of the day on election day. Who's gonna be responsible for pressing that button on this tabulator that's not even in your municipality? So with all of those questions, we just felt that it would be best to have full control for the election in February, which is the presidential primary, which is the best time to do it. So, but saying that, the 9-day early voting also comes with a very large price tag. The city will require to have a tabulator and a special laptop. But that in mind, the good news is that the Bureau of Elections is required to distribute $30 million for funding. So the Election Commission authorized me to submit an action plan and a funding. So I submitted the funding of $26,000 to cover for the tabular, laptop, election inspector wages, warranty, and equipment, support, and supplies. Now, the tabulator itself, with the warranty and the support that comes with that from Election Source, is $7,400. So we got an email from the county clerk just this weekend saying that she has a confirmation from the Bureau of Elections that they have received and reviewed our grant, and they will be shipping us one tabulator. So we are very, very happy to hear that. So that's the first step in this process. Now, these are all for statewide and federal elections. You don't have to do the 9-day for local elections, like this November 1 for the city election. It'd be for the even number of years. And that being said, we have 5 elections from this November till next November. It'll be every 3 months we'll have an election. So February be presidential primary, we use 9-day early voting. May would be school, we would not use it. August is your regular primary, we'd use it. November is your presidential, we use it. So this room here will be an actual precinct and be manned with 4 people for those 9 days. So, does anybody got any questions?
Do you have to be present or Karen have to be present during those 9 days?
We are not required, but we will be. You know, I mean, we trust our election inspectors 100%, but I don't think it's in their pay grade to have to be responsible for securing tabulators and ballots at the end of the night. I think that's mine and Karen's responsibility.
Thank you. Are some of our townships joining together?
Yes, there are. I just talked to the clerk at Deerfield, and yes, there is, I believe, she said 10 of them going together.
One
Well, the
voting
smaller ones,
base.
the very smaller ones.
Thank you. Questions for the clerk? Thank you. Sounds like really a lot of fun doing that for 9 days.
I loved working the election,
But
but
9
it was
days?
just one day.
Yeah. Public comment unrelated to anything on the agenda, please. Sir.
Like to speak, please? My name's Paul Reed. I live at 612 Lilac Avenue here in Big Rapids. My purpose tonight, I'm looking for information, questions, and answers to the R1 short-term rental ordinance referring to Airbnb or similar businesses allowable in R1 zones. There may be other resources for me to go to, but through all my life, I've always get to the people that answer the questions. So here I am tonight. Hopefully by the end of my conversation, that we can have some direction for me to go to. Okay. Now, for you that aren't familiar with the Lilac neighborhood, I believe it's one of the best neighborhoods in the city, hands down. That is coming from a person that has lived here in Big Rapids pretty much all my life, outside of what I call my crazy 20s. But other than that, I've lived here. I've raised families here, my parents have had businesses here, and I like Big Rapids a lot. Okay, so, the other day, it became aware to me that I have a Airbnb 3 doors down from me at 700 Lilac. Again, that's what brings me here today. So, starting out, I have a question, but I don't need an answer tonight from any of you, but for everybody to think about. What does an Airbnb do? Provides a service with exchange of monies of some sort. This is called a business transaction. At least that's why I grew up. Businesses are strictly against zoning ordinances in our R1 districts. So why do I have this Airbnb 3 doors down from my house? I can't figure that one out. To go on, to fit in the continuity of our neighborhood. Does an Airbnb fit in our neighborhood? Not really. To maintain the vibe of our neighborhood, it doesn't fit. We have families, professionals, retired folks. Our streets don't have a lot of traffic. We know or recognize who is walking down the sidewalk or who is slowly driving down the alley. We have a beautiful and secure neighborhood, partly due to the zoning laws and ordinances that we have. Allowing an Airbnb or similar will not promote this type of neighborhood. Personally, in the home value situation, 23 years ago, I made a huge investment in my house because of the neighborhood. It was time to upgrade, drove around Big Rapids, really didn't find anything that I could either afford or would put me in the same boat of upgrading and remodeling the house. So I made my investment into the neighborhood, which I've enjoyed through the years. And through the housing in the last 10 years, we all know that we're making money now on our houses or whatever. The values have grown immensely. Where I realized that if I sold my house today, I would actually make a profit. Okay. That's one of the concerns. When I came down and talked to Jesse Parks, is it, or Jesse, is his name? Joey Walker. And I asked him just a few questions, if the ordinance had been changed. He said no. It's just that they were talking more about this short-term rental recently. And I don't know if this has come up because of the people that had filled out the paperwork to open up these Airbnbs in town. According to him, we have 3 in town. The one that owns 700 Lilac owns 2 of them. The third one, I really don't care about. I believe it's not in my neighborhood, or at least not next door to me or doors down. With a neighborhood, maintaining the property, yard maintenance, things of that nature. Everybody in our neighborhood makes an effort to keep their houses looking good, yards picked up, keeping them clean, maintained, making the neighborhood very nice. The ordinance now, as it is written, no more than one other person that's not family, whatever, related to the person renting the house can be allowed there, which is fine. But who's gonna enforce that part of it, the application, process? Who's gonna enforce who's living there, and who's gonna stop them from having a party? For instance, somebody comes in and rents a house under disguise and then has friends over for the Ferris homecoming. Oh my gosh, our neighborhood is crazy. And I don't know, I've seen them on TV. Some of the news reports of Airbnbs being rented by kids, legally rented, and having some quite parties that tearing up the neighborhoods, guns, violence, I guess. And then, he had mentioned the city master plan that's being rewritten right now, if I'm not correct. I don't know if we can wait for that time to happen. We only have 3 in town currently, but I just feel that we need to address this. I know where some of you folks live, and I'm sure you wouldn't want Airbnb next door. The transients, the security, it doesn't fit our neighborhood. Time? Oh, I agree with you.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Mark, could you update us on how you've started this process? You got the process going the most. Can you update us on what's happening, Mark or Brad?
Sure,
And Michelle?
yeah, a number of us maybe can comment. I know Brad's done some work on it, and so there's the short-term rental issue on a statewide or a nationwide thing is highly political, and so it was in limbo for a long time, and I think most of the commission knows that. And that has somewhat gone away or died off. And so there's a push from us locally to say, we need a short-term rental policy, something that addresses it in our ordinance, and I know Michelle and Brad have been working on that, and it's going to the planning commission, so I thoroughly agree with Mr. Reed. I think it's something we are missing and need, and I know that it's a work in progress. And the idea is that it would then come to the commission sometime by the, maybe end of the year, first to next. So, I know I agree with you, I think many here do, and it's been something we've been lacking.
So for me to pursue this, where I need to see the planning commission.
I would go for sure,
Yes,
We're actually talking about it Wednesday night,
so
yes,
there's,
please.
this Wednesday.
Please
this
do.
Wednesday.
And Brad, you're going to this
I'm
Wednesday.
going to this one, and just to follow up, I mean, the issues
that
you raised, yeah, the issues you raised are very well founded and are kind of popular to talk about across the state. It's a hot topic in municipalities, but the reason to follow up on Mark that there hasn't been any action in the city is that there was pending legislation in the state that would have basically preempted local governments from being able to regulate this. That fell by the wayside at the end of the last term. It was never adopted, so now there's no, as far as I'm aware, effort to rehash that at this point. So we're kind of on our own to regulate that, and so we've taken up that task of looking at creating a regulation.
I've had complaints about another one in a different neighborhood and wondering if it's legal and what's gonna happen with it, and so it's known now and has to be addressed pretty quickly, I think.
Our homes are our biggest investment. We all pride them, so I appreciate your time.
Thank
The
you.
planning meeting is Wednesday
It's Wednesday at 6:30 in this room.
in this room. Very good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Other public comment unrelated to business on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. There are no public hearings in the general business. The first part of the business is a resolution accepting the bids for snow removal. We do this every year. This year, Fenstermark and Morningstar are there. Are there comments or questions? Hearing none, is there a motion for the resolution for those two snow removal services?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support, further questions? I think that requires a roll call. Clerk?
Akron,
Yes.
Ackley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Yes.
Next is a resolution awarding a bid for new firefighting hoses. I hope you're here to talk about that, Steve, because we really can't tell whether a hose is good or not, so.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I was trying to figure out if we could do a demo for this one, but
Let's
I
not
figured,
do it.
yeah, we wouldn't do that, so. But nonetheless, yeah, so we put through the CIP last year, as I outlined in my position paper, 4 new hose. We have several sections of hose that is dated. Every time we do hose testing every year, we end up failing a couple sections of hose. And so it ends up really leaving us with no extra hose on the rack or potentially low on the trucks. We've never been in a position where we didn't have enough hose, but at the same time, multiple large incidents could render us short on hose or having us repack wet hose. So we submitted the CIP process, or through the CIP process, and it was agreed to $20,000 will go towards this project. So in September, we went out for sealed bids. We received 2 bids back, and the low bid would be Phoenix Safety Outfitters, who we have bought hose through before. Just not this large of an order, but never had any issue with them. And they bid it at $14,053.56. So that will be consisting of 32 sections of our smaller attack hose, 16 sections of medium attack, and then 4 sections of 3-inch supply line.
Is that all of it then?
For
Is
hose?
that all the hose you have?
Well, I mean, for this project, yeah.
No, I mean in total. Do you have a lot more hose than that?
Oh, we have a lot more hose than that, yes.
Just wonder. I have no idea.
Yes, sir.
Questions from the commission?
Yeah. So we allocated 20, but this is only 14, so my question is, do you need more?
Yeah,
Should you
so.
go into 20?
I mean, I
Yeah, I
can't speak
appreciate
to others' opinions, but
Yeah, no, that is a fair question. So we ended up, in looking at it, the the original bids that we were getting, or the quotes rather, as we were moving forward with this project, were more in line with the other bid that we received, which was closer to 16.5. And we actually thought that it could have been a little higher than that as well. So what our thought is to, award this bid, get this hose in, get that in service, and then potentially add more hose to it. Because there really wasn't necessarily a per unit, large per unit cost, so we'd like to go to the 20,000 in hose.
Other questions? Is there a motion for the resolution to buy fire hose?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Further questions? Tamara?
Ashley?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Seven?
Yes.
Yes.
The next is a rural transit assistance program dial-a-ride issue. Mark, or Heather, I'm sorry, Heather. Mark?
Sure, Mayor. So we've done this in other years. This is something that MDOT works with Rural Transit to provide training opportunities to transit systems like ours. And it's really valued to be able to send folks to different types of training conferences, those types of things. So this is money we'll use and need, and it's available to us. So looking for authorization for your for signature on that contract.
Questions from the commissioner or the public? Hearing none, is there a motion for that third-party contract regarding rural transit?
So move, support.
Motion and support. Questions? Hearing none, roll call please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Seven?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes. Next bit of business, we need a new member for the DDA or DBA? DDA. And Mark Sahaki retired and left us, and their new director would like that seat. And
I just love to.
and she applied for the position, and I recommend her appointment. Questions for Linda Miller, back in the back, if you don't know Linda. Questions, anything? None? Hearing none? Is there a resolution for the appointment of Linda Miller on the DDA?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Further? Please, Tammy.
Seven?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. The next resolution is approving an amendment to the mutual fire contract between Green Township and the city of Big Rapids. Mark, what does that amendment say?
It says three things, Mayor, and it's in your packet and signed by Green Township. We attended their meeting a week ago, and it was approved and signed, is authorized by them. It does three things. It stipulates that we acknowledge that Goshen has certain tax abatements, and there was, well, they just wanted it to be clear that Green Township as an entity would not be responsible for the 1 mil represented by Goshen somehow. So that was excluded from the 1 mil calculation that goes to the payment to the city for the services of fire protection. So that's the first one. The second one is they have negotiated a payment in lieu of taxes for emergency services, namely fire protection, at least in the initial parts or the first few years of getting the project up and going, and that funding would then be dedicated to the city over the next 2.5 years roughly of our contract. That it goes in our contract, it goes till the spring of 2026, and so for the 2024 payment year and 2025 payment year in which Green Township will receive this funding, that funding would then be transferred to the city to provide our services, our fire department, with training and equipment needs to be able to deal with the challenges that might come with Goshen being there. And it also stipulates in this how those funds would be spent. And I know Steve has done a lot of work, or Chief Schroeder, on planning and thinking about being prepared. And Chief, if you wanted to comment on that, on some of your plans, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly. So, in looking at the readiness, to protect a facility like this, we always look at, any gaps in training or equipment. Those are the two big ones, as well as potential call volume. So one of the strategies that we're putting in place is for the payment in lieu of taxes there, the initial year, the plan is to start with training and start working through lithium battery training. We want to start with, general lithium batteries so that we can really build on a principle of what that is. The fact is, we already have been sending firefighters to lithium battery training, have been doing that for a while because of the EVs that we have in the area. We have a lot of lithium batteries in our community already, cell phones and hybrid vehicles and things like that. So we want to build on that education and really roll that out to even our mutual aid partners, including other disciplines such as law enforcement or EMS. Really make sure that there's a good understanding on that, as well as continue to build on the hazardous materials side of it. So anytime we have bulk product like that, we want to make sure that we're trained and we're ready for that. So really focus on the training in the first year, training up our staff, and then the second year would then be more of training and readiness, as well as equipment acquisition. So as we're going through training, we may find gaps in equipment that we may need for this facility or things like that, based on recommendations, current practices, things like that. So the plan would be then to acquire equipment and train on that through that year, utilizing that funding. That's the plan as of now.
Thank you. Further questions from the commission? As you can imagine, 1 mil on a $2 billion building would be quite a bit of money. And that's why, obviously, they ask us to do a payment in lieu of taxes rather than 1 mil on 2 billion. Probably a little higher than we'd need. Questions? Is there a motion for the resolution accepting the amendment to the fire contract with Green Township?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Further questions? Seeing none. Tammy?
Paxton,
Yes.
Effley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Tillman.
Yes.
Unscheduled business, anyone?
Mayor, real brief, we have our chili cook-off tomorrow, our internal city, one just that the city staff puts on. Certainly others are welcome, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because we hope you can attend. I sent it to you in the email, but it's a lot of fun and a lot of different kinds of chilies being made by various departments, and I won't include all of them, naming them, but there is fire department chili. I don't know if there's police department chili. There's a lot of illness down at the police
There
department.
was talk that Bill was gonna maybe make some.
Yeah, we're not sure about that, but there'll be lots, and we hope you attend if you can be there.
Can you remind me where it is? Is it here or is
Right,
it
yeah,
down?
it's right here. Yep.
That's what I thought. It just.
Yep, right here. And we're starting at 11:30? 11:30, yep.
I'm going to make a brief comment on the headlines of today's paper.
Thank you, Mayor.
The headlines of today's paper said, "City agrees to provide the water to Goshen." This commission or administration has never made a commitment to provide the water. But if they want water and we have to supply it, they need a line to get there. So that's why Green Township had to approve that. This commission's never taken a vote to supply anything to Goshen. Kathy, if you read the whole article, it doesn't say that we promised that. Why the headline came out the way it did, I have.
Two, yes. The headline and subheading.
Yeah, and they didn't,
Or
they aren't
incorrect.
what this commission did, and we hope people understand that.
Thank you.
Right? Questions? Yes.
Next month is election, the city election on November 7th, which means, the commission meeting dates will be the 2nd and the 3rd Monday, not the 1st and the 3rd.
13th and the 20th.
Further questions? And Mr. Reed, your topic is hot on the agenda.
Good.
Further, anything? Let's be adjourned. Mr. Reed? Mr. Reed?
I'm your neighbor. I know you are.